What's up, guys? Mindless again. Wanted to share some more pieces out of my collection, and today's video is kind of a big one for me, since we're going to be dealing with probably my favorite maker at the moment, Geoff Blauvelt, otherwise known as Tuffknives. His company Tuffknives has kind of taken over the knife world by storm over the past 2 or 3 years, and Geoff's become one of the premier knife makers. His pieces are instantly scooped up as soon as they're available, and as you can see here, I actually can't get enough of his pieces. So I grabbed a few pieces. There's a few more, but I couldn't fit them in frames, so I grabbed I think there's 12 here of, I think, the most interesting pieces, and you're gonna see the collector side of my personality probably most of all the videos in this video, with these immortal pups. So before we get started, let's take a look at the knives. I guess we should start right here. So these four right here are the Geoff or Tough Thumbs and Tashi Barucha collaboration pieces, the immortal pups. And to be honest with you guys, this is my favorite knife, period, hands down. I love the design, the shape. You guys that know me know how much I appreciate Tashi design, and I think the new school mentality of Tough Thumbs and Tough Knives mixed with the design language of Tashi, they kind of hit a home run with these pieces, and honestly, they speak to me. This one over here is also a immortal pup. So let's just take a quick peek at them, and then as we speak about Geoff, I'll kind of show off the knives a little more in detail. This center section, these two are one of the newer models called Tracers, and I think these are really beautiful pieces. This is Tracer number 1, and this one came shortly after. This is a switch, and then these two, top and bottom, are just kind of one of his one-off modifications of the switch. Now, it's important to know with Geoff, and this is, you can't say this for all makers, every piece that he makes is a one-off. I have rarely ever seen the same piece made twice by Geoff or anything coming out of his workshop. So let's take a quick peek at some of these. This is one of, actually this was the first pup that I was able to acquire. Got it about a year ago, or maybe less than that. Another one, gorgeous piece. And guys, keep in mind, these are handmade by Geoff in his workshop in Pennsylvania. Now, the pups were a limited run, much like everything that Tashi does. They're a very limited quantity. So as soon as they came out, and I handled one and owned my first one, I kind of went crazy. And this is, look at this guy, gorgeous. You might have seen this one in past videos. Full Timascus, beautiful piece. And there were originally 12 created, and I was just, every time one came available to me, I just jumped on it. I absolutely love this. Now, normally, a little personal information about me, I carry a pup as my main piece pretty much every day. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see photos of other knives daily, and those are usually the second piece that I carry in my pocket. My collection of pups has become kind of well known, and Geoff and Tashi both realized that I was buying them. And recently they agreed to make one more. This is number 13, and it actually was named, they marked it on the inside with my handle, Mindless Pup. So really honored to have it. This is a full zirconium hand rub. Absolutely a stunning piece. Beautiful. Really honored to have it. So let's start talking about Geoff as I continue to show off these pieces. Geoff is one of the few guys, and there are other ones like Rasanti and other guys that started off as knife pimpers. And basically people, collectors, knife enthusiasts would go to Geoff and ask him to modify or quote pimp pieces that they own, and that includes, you know, production pieces, customs, mid-techs, and they basically ask him to do anything that they saw or that they wanted to have done to their pieces. So he kind of cut his teeth modifying Spydercos and, you know, Benchmade knives, ZTs, Kershaws, that kind of stuff. And as he became more familiar with not the process of knife making, you could definitely see his skills starting to improve. And about 3 years ago, while still modifying knives for customers, he decided to jump into the custom knife arena, and he created his own piece, and that was the Toad. And guys, this is really amazing because his first custom knife, which he made by hand, his first knife was picked up by Boker, and they made a production piece out of it. And you know, if you're in the knife collecting game, you know how big of a deal that is and how difficult it is to make a deal with a production knife company. And quickly he became recognized as a you know, legitimate custom knife maker. Quickly after the War Toad came the Tannic, and I have a couple of those. I'm just not showing them. I figured I'd show you the newer pieces as his work has continued to evolve and improve over time. These are all newer pieces. So the Tannic was released by Geoff to huge fanfare, and guys like Jim Skelton and Brian Dunn and guys like that jumped all over it. Names in the knife industry like Justin Laffer quickly were able to grab one of the Tannics, and that piece became very, very popular and very expensive quickly. Now, it's important when you're talking about Geoff to realize that he's only been in the knife game for, you know, 3-4 years tops, and in those 4 years he's become kind of one of the premier knife makers. And honestly, I kind of wanted to talk about how he did that and the new school techniques that he did. Geoff quickly embraced social media and grew his fan base that way. So he started a YouTube channel, and every week or a few days he would show off pieces that he was pimping, and at the same time showing off pieces of his own personal collection, custom knives that he was acquiring from makers that were his friends or trades that he was doing. And that channel has become or became the most popular knife related channel on YouTube. I mean, he's over 17,000 subscribers, and each one of his videos, as soon as they would come out, would have thousands of viewers. And this is before Jim Skelton, all that stuff. So quickly he was building a reputation for himself, a name for himself, and more importantly, a following amongst the younger crowd that had embraced social media. At the same time, he jumped on Instagram, and guys, he has utilized Instagram to its fullest. He has over 30,000 followers. It's almost like 40,000 followers on Instagram, by far eclipsing any other knife maker. And by doing that, basically his reach is extraordinary. He can get responses out of his followers instantaneously. As soon as he would create a knife, it would be known across the knife world just by posting a picture on Instagram. And honestly, that's the best marketing you can ever do. It's free. It's kind of a grassroots way of doing it, and he quickly became a huge character within the knife world, the knife industry. And once the Tannic took off, he was able to parlay that popularity of that knife quickly into actual profit for himself. it's important to say, you know, there's places like Blade HQ and stuff. They immediately saw the talent of Geoff as a young custom knife maker and gave him a shot by ordering basically every piece that he was making out of his shop and selling it on their website. And quickly you could tell that the demand was there. Pieces would sell out within seconds, and accordingly the prices were beginning to skyrocket. So the guy, within a matter of maybe 2 or 3 years, basically he's been making customs for about 3 years, was able to propel himself, kind of rocket himself to the top of the knife making community as one of the most well-known custom knife makers out there. Now, one of the things he does, and I think I mentioned in the beginning of the video, is that every single piece is unique. So when you're able to score a knife from Geoff, you're basically getting a one-off custom knife that you can kind of be assured that you're never going to see in anyone else's pockets. And to collectors, that is one of the most important things. You know, if you have a custom knife and you see it in someone else's pocket exactly the same, it kind of takes away from how special it is, but more importantly, the value of that piece. So I think Geoff is fully aware of that, and he understands what collectors really want, what makes them feel special. And since he himself was a very serious knife collector, and still to this day is. Now, I've been following his work for years, and you know, every time a knife became available, I would try to score it, just because honestly his design language works for me. It's a very modern, sleek designs. They're always limited, you know, they're coming out one at a time, maybe one knife a week, and they're always very difficult to find. So I quickly kind of bought into that, to Geoff's marketing angle, and honestly, his knives, they speak to me. The quality is absolutely there. Being a knife modifier or pimper, I like the word modifier more, he has been exposed to all the different types of lock geometry, pivot geometry technology, stop pins, and he's been able to see what works and what doesn't and adopt that into his own custom knives. So every piece you get has absolutely perfect action, perfect lockup, unbelievable build quality. Guys, I mean, honestly, the guy's a legitimate knife maker, and he makes quality pieces that rival guys that have been in the game for decades. Absolutely beautiful work. Absolutely beautiful work. Now, this past Blade show, I was lucky enough to be able to hang out with him for a few days and really kind of understand where he's coming from. I met his wife, and it is absolutely clear how much he loves what he does. You know, Geoff started, before getting into the knife game, he was basically an artist, a creative director. He was doing art installations for large events like E3, conventions and stuff like that. He was the guy that would do the giant art for the stands and all that stuff. So he comes from an artistic background. He studied art, and he's been able to kind of parlay that into the knife making game in a way that really separates him from his competition. You can see that design language in all of his pieces. They're extremely modern, aggressive looking. Obviously, this is just a few examples. There's a bunch of other pieces out there in the world, and he continues to pump out pieces, but they're all variations. They're all different. Just happens, for me, I kind of like these more hard edges, these very modern looking tactical blades that he makes. And he truly has become one of the premier makers out there. For example, I mean, if you take a look at, this is an early switch. The blade profile is so aggressive. You take this piece, and you look at this, oops, it's made by the same guy, the same shop, completely different blade shapes, completely different handle shapes, but you can tell it's a Tuffknife. You really can. The artistry is unquestionable. If you look at the finish on this piece, I mean, look at the hours and hours of work that went into creating these handles. And he does this on every single knife. You know, you don't have to ask Geoff to make a custom knife and get involved with him. You can, if he's willing to make a piece for you, you can, you know, ask for particular things. But the reality is, if you allow his creativity to flow, he will produce something that is amazing, truly amazing. When he agreed to make this pup for me, he basically just asked me, do you like zirconium? Are you okay with a satin blade? And I basically said, do your thing, man. An unbelievable product was produced. Forgive the fingerprints. And honestly, the build quality is unrivaled. This piece, the action is amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. And it's true for all of his pieces, guys. Absolutely amazing. Just, I mean, honestly, amazing. I'm almost speechless. You know, I'm not known for not having words to say, but obviously from the amount of knives that I own from Geoff, you guys can tell that I'm a huge fan. Each piece is absolutely perfect. I think his use of stonewash, the creativity of the handles and the scales. I mean, this is Westinghouse micarta, zirconium clip, zirconium pivot collar. It's just truly unrivaled. And I think he understands really what the modern knife collector is looking for in a piece. And I know, I mean, his pieces demand or command high prices on the secondary, but direct from him, they're absolutely reasonable. He's not out there gouging people. He knows what his work is worth. He knows what his hours are worth. And if he puts in 50 hours into a knife or 10 hours into a knife, the prices reflect that accordingly. So, you know, when you buy a piece directly from him, or you're able to score a piece from him, you're getting a piece of art. You're not getting ripped off. And the value of that piece is protected. Absolutely beautiful. Like this one right here. This was a collaboration with him and Ferrum Forge Elliott. And I mean, even look at the artwork in the handle, these kind of this bullet hole pattern. It's almost cartoon, like comic book. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful pieces. Now, why are his pieces so popular, other than the fact that they're all unique? Honestly, I think Geoff, at least to me, this is my opinion, I think Geoff has found that perfect balance between an art knife and an EDC knife, where you can actually carry these pieces, use them comfortably, and not worry about marring them up and immediately losing their value. Obviously, like on something like this, it's not, I mean, this was a one-off art piece. I keep saying one-off, they're all one-off, but this was an example of him showing off his ability to work with these exotic materials. This isn't the best example of an EDC. However, if you look at every other piece here, including this Zerk piece, you could carry these, and I do daily, and I use them. And there's no, even if you get markings on them, the stonewash, the blade finishes, the handle finishes hide those daily wear marks perfectly. Not to mention that Geoff stands behind his work 100%. I mean, he will, if something's wrong, he'll make it right. And that's, you know, that ability to create an art knife, a piece that absolutely, unquestionably is more than just a production or a mid-tech, but that you feel comfortable carrying. There are not too many makers that do that. You know, I would say like Michael Birch, Brad Blunt, their pieces are pieces that you could carry and you don't worry about putting a scratch or two on them, you know, and that draws people. At the end of the day, not everybody buys 10 or 12 pieces. If you were to buy one Tuffknives piece, you know without a doubt you could carry it, you could use it daily, and a scratch here or there isn't going to, first of all, change the value of the piece, but more importantly, isn't going to feel like you've scratched your brand new car. I mean, look at the handle finish on this. It's a beautiful stone wash, fully contoured. Yes, he's using exotic materials, but if it works. This blade right here, I have cut so many things with this blade, and the scratches are there, but they're well hidden. And that, to me, truly is why I keep coming back for more and more. And I plan on continuing to buy pieces from him. Each one of these knives was purchased with a different story from either a collector, from a dealer, direct through Geoff, at shows, you know, and anywhere I can get a piece, I'm going to try to get one. Because again, to me, these represent modern knife making in a way that I think few other makers can do. I mean, look at this piece. This was from Blade. Extra thick stock, zirconium, beautifully finished. Domed pivot, just gorgeous, guys, honestly. And the action is phenomenal. I mean, it's super hard D10. It fires hard, and that's true for all of his pieces. So if you ever have the opportunity to handle his pieces or even trade into one, buy one, I would do it. You can know without a doubt you have a one-off handmade piece from a guy that knows how to make knives, that knows what works and what doesn't, and stands behind that work. That's a valuable thing. There are a handful of makers that I can say all of those things about, and Geoff, without a doubt, is one of those guys. Truly an artist. Honestly, he is an artist. Before he's an engineer, before he's a maker, he's one of the guys that is a true artist. And into every piece, he pumps in that artistry. And he's able to execute it with his own hands. He is a designer like Tashi, like Liang Ma, who can make his own pieces that are in high demand. So, again, if you could ever get a piece, you should absolutely do it. In my opinion, no collector has a complete collection without at least one handmade custom from Geoff. They are absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Guys, I could keep going for hours, honestly, about Geoff and his knife making skills and why I love these pieces, but thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all about any of these pieces, please leave a comment below. You know, shoot me a DM, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And I'm honestly proud to call Geoff a friend. We speak on the regular, and people that know me know that these pieces will stay in my collection forever, and that I carry them regularly. Thanks for stopping in, fellas. You know, take a second to thank you guys for supporting all these videos. I got a few more of the knife maker spotlights, and then I'm going to switch back to individual, you know, long reviews of pieces, including some of these. So don't worry, you'll see more of them, especially this one that was built for me. But again, thanks for stopping in. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take it easy.